hello again, or hello for the first time. Who knows? In any case, we're glad you found us. This is the end of our Meet Leo parent and teacher training series. We'll do official introductions in just a second, but we want to get the link to the slide deck in the chat for you so you have it. It's there on the screen. Take a picture with your camera if you have it handy. And there it is, the long link in the form. So that's the slide deck. Not only does that have links to today's session, that is also session 1, 2, and 3. And in every session, we started with our land acknowledgement. I'm presenting to you from Treaty 7 territory here in Calgary. This is the Indigenous homelands of the Blackfoot, the Kainai, Piikani, Tsuut'ina, Stoney Nakoda, and the Métis. So many rich Indigenous cultures around me. Find out more about the lands you're on at whose.land. And we're going to find out whose land these two guys are in just a second. But official introduction of me, Michelle Armstrong, Director of Events for Logix Academy. And Logix Academy relies on facilitator consultants, just like Bill here, who's going to introduce himself.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Bill Corcoran here, based in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I've been in public education here in Ottawa for 18 years and definitely have a passion for all things we're talking about in terms of digital literacy and safety for our students online, and so excited to be here.
Yay, excited that you're here as well. Not only do we rely on facilitator, we also have a number of partners who, spoiler alert, we're going to introduce Richard in just a second, but Logix Academy partners with all of these organizations you see on your screen. It's thanks to them. There's typically no cost for the training we bring to you. And today's episode is brought to you by Richard O'Shea, Found 42. Tell us a little bit more about you, Richard.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Bill. My name is Richard O'Shea. I worked at Google for 15 years, and actually my first opportunity after I left Google was to partner with Google, and that's what we're going to talk about today. is something called Meet Leo. Meet Leo is all about teaching parents and teachers and students about different ways to be safe online, to sort of manage ground rules about how we use online tools, and also, in particular with AI, how to explore AI responsibly.
And also thanks to our partnership with Richard and Google and Meet Leo, you all have a chance to win a Chromebook. You got to stick around, pay attention to this workshop to find out how to get entered for that. So we are going to hold on to that information until a little bit later. Okay, so we have been here. This is, like I say, our 4th episode. The 3 other episodes are there in the slide deck for you. There's links if you haven't seen those recordings. We encourage you to check it out. And today, we're going to talk about Notebook LM. We're going to do some Google Gemini, and then a whole wrap up, all of that in 30 minutes or less, hopefully. Bill, do you want to just give us sort of a grand overview of kind of what the last 3 sessions have been all?
Absolutely. So we're following the entry point of Meet Leo. We definitely want to be following those safety guidelines, making sure that people are responsible and using tech for good. But we also want to pull back and make sure that we never forget that there's a human at the center of this. We are a big proponent of balancing tech use, that it is a sometimes thing, that using pencil and paper is good, going outside is great. All these type of things should flow out of this. Even though we're going to highlight some digital tools, by no means are we saying this. These are all the time things that we want you in front of a screen forever looking at them. We just wanted to highlight that. So that's one of the big things that we wanted to reiterate as we've gone through. And here's a bit of a review of session 1 and 2. These are the sort of Cole's notes. If you're watching this, you might know where Cole's notes. I was working with students in high school the other day. I said Cole's notes. I'm like, They're like, what are you talking about? They did not know that connection. So I dated myself pretty easily there. But going back, in terms of being safe online, that's for everybody. That's for us. That's for our students. That's for our educators. And so if we go to the next slide, we're really talking about how we're bringing the family into these conversations. These need to be having at home. And we're not saying that they're not. We're just here to help facilitate that, how we could do them, because we're all stuck in some way or another about how do we do this? Where are the phones at nighttime? Where is the device? What does that mean in terms of setting up these sort of criteria about what that means around the house? So it's not just a parent or guardian saying, hey, don't use the tech or put your phone away at 9 o'clock. It's also about getting to understand what they're doing on their device so that we can come up here and be partners in this. Because if we come authoritative in this, it's not going to work. We know that they're just going to fight back or do something different. So conversations are so paramount.
Yeah, and if you missed session 1 in particular and session 2, we did dive into some tools that can kind of help us sort of monitor and guide these conversations, guide the apps our students and children are using. So we encourage you to check out session 1 and 2. And then in session 3, we started exploring some apps, I think. Tell us a little bit more about that, Bill.
Well, I think that amongst everything, we definitely went into some tools in session 3 that were more open-ended, accessible on the internet, such as the Google platform, Google Arts and Culture, going into different tools that we know are reputable, that we can send people to without sort of necessarily having to question everything that's on there. We should always be analytical, but we know that going to Google versus, Bill's site on history is going to have different connotation. So we're going to make sure that we're okay with that. But all this is part of our literacy skills and understanding what to do when we are having to be critical thinkers with the information that's being presented to us, or in audio or video format, is so paramount. So I think that sort of sums up all the sessions that we've been so far. And of course, they're recorded and linked there. So if anything sort of trigger your memory here or interest, you should go back and watch those that are linked there. And they're only half an hour as well.
Nice. And we do have some of you joining us live again.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here live. If you feel brave and you want to let us know in the chat who you are and where you're from, we encourage that. But we also encourage sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying the show. Well, we're going to start the show off with Notebook LM. Bill, you know what? Before we even go ahead to any of this, all of these slides that we're showing you here, these are coming straight from those Meet Leo resources, which you're going to find within our slide deck as well. And we'll put the link to the Meet Leo resources too. But just wanted to point that out. But Bill, Notebook LM.
Yeah, so if you can keep it on the slide, that'd be great, just as sort of I introduce. We'll go into the live example in just a moment. The tools that we did in part 3A was something that we could all technically go into and use in like a sort of a free model without having necessarily an account, a Google account. Now we're starting to talk about things that are more what we'll call walled garden, where things that are within a Google account to get the best case. Doesn't mean that you have to pay for it. There's a lot of free features within Notebook LM, and basically they're all there except the amount of sources that you may be able to put in. So when we're talking about it, we're not asking you to pay anything here. Just it might involve having a Google account. That's the difference in this session where we're saying you need this. So Notebook LM is something that we'll refer to as a walled garden environment. And when we're using something like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, because it's a Google product, you are technically using all the data that's ever been put into those large language models. That's what ChatGPT and Copilot and with Microsoft is, where we want to narrow down and maybe not use everything that's out there, but only what we tell it to use. And so this is what Notebook LM is great for. It has since expanded to be able to go out to the sort of web and expand that of like a ChatGPT or Gemini being something like a glorified Google search. We're going to try to show you ways in which it's not. But with Notebook LM, I'm going to put you in the scenario that you are a student in grade 9. And again, maybe I'm not making the connection to the right curriculum. I've been in class for a while. The teacher has given me some slide decks, has given me some links to some I guess, previewed and validated YouTube videos, a website, and then a little bit of my own notes that I've been taking digitally. And of course, you could take a picture of it. So that's the scenario that we're kind of putting it. And I'm going to just change screens now. I'm going to bring in my screen and add it to the stage. Oh, sorry. We're both clicking on the same thing, I think, at the same time. We're both doing it. There we go. We're together. Our timing was impeccable, Michelle. We were both doing the same thing at the same time. So what you see here is the inner workings, kind of like the screenshot you just saw that was moving around while I was talking, of what Notebook LM can do. I want you to kind of ignore the top part here, which was search for web and news sources. That's a great feature. I don't use it a lot myself, but I know people that do, because it's handy and it's helpful to be there. It kind of goes into that Gemini aspect that Richard's going to speak to next. What I really love about this is I can upload files from my computer, obviously from Drive. Drive is right here. I can click on link and websites. I can copy and paste actual websites. So even if a teacher had their own website where they kept all their notes and everything like that, I could drop it in here. And then I'm just going to show it again. And I could even copy and paste text into this. Certain models, you can put up to 30 sources, and then more paid, you can put up like 500 sources. I've never come anywhere near those amount. But what you're seeing on my screen here on the left-hand side is a couple of sources. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for the screen sharing a little bit. And you can see on this side, I've put in a link to one of those YouTube levels of government. And you know what? I did this example because I came across, and this is not because, I'm Canadian and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the world. This is just a good example because it was in the curriculum. So don't read anything into it at the moment. There's my notes. So that's in a Google Doc. I was taking notes. I was speaking into it. I have that. There was the Government of Canada website. Here's a slide deck that my teacher gave me. And here's the Parliament website. So
Bill,
all these, yeah.
Did you select this? Are you suggesting Richard needs to brush up a little bit on his Canadian government?
Am I setting him up?
history?
Oh, we're getting low. Yeah, it's going to be like a gold medal hockey game, hopefully in the future here. Okay, so yeah, that's why I preface. This is nothing. There's no intonation here going on from that standpoint. But on the left-hand side, you can see that they're all checkmarked, meaning that right now, as I go into the middle part and I start typing, I can ask it a question. Even if I scroll down, it gives me some prompts about what it thinks that I might want to ask it, with a little overview at the top. And the great thing about this overview is only coming from those 5 sources that I gave it. So I'm truly in this walled garden. So as a student, I'm now just asking it about things that I know that have been checked off, that my teacher gave me, that I validated within it. So if I just wanted to take this example of like, how do Canada's 3 levels of government share power? Imagine I type that in here, but this, in case it's prompting, if I click on it, it's going to think, it's going to analyze only those files, and it's going to start giving me a response. And of course, I'm not using this to give me answers. What I'm doing is that I'm asking it questions to, in a lot of cases, like my own son used it in math. Actually, I think it was history last one. That's what gave me this idea. He used it to study for a test coming up. He had all the notes, he had all these things. He's like, how do I ask this? And he's asking this back and forth. And what I really love about this, of course, you're asking it back and forth. It gives me little footnotes right to which document it's coming from, so I can validate it. It being a scientist, like I'm triangulating all my information. And then at the end of the day, there are some cool features on the right-hand side that are just a bonus that we could go on for a whole session. But one of my favorite here is the quiz feature, which might be as a student. I can click on it, and on the right-hand side, it's going to pop up. It's generating a quiz. I think I already had one. There we go. It's there. It's going to take these sources and kind of just give me some little multiple choice information from that, those documents that kind of keeps me on my toes. And of course, there's mind maps that allow me to work in there, that give me a blueprint of everything that's in there, that can allow me to visually break down all those documents, like levels of government, federal, and it's kind of helping me understand visually, and I can click on that. What does that mean? So that's it. That's like what we call an amuse-bouche here. This is just like a tasting of what Notebook LM can do for you. But imagine this just at your fingertips. It's only doing what I am telling it to do, and that's what's bringing it forward. So this is what's going to separate it from Gemini in general, which still is so powerful. I use Gemini every day, but for now, I'm going to leave a pause there. Maybe I'm not sure if there's any thoughts or addendums to that, Michelle or Richard, as we go through.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Bill, in that Notebook LM, we could spend probably 2 hours and dive into it all. But
at least,
yes, this sort of broad overview is great. Richard, if you were to sort of encapsulate the power of Notebook LM? What would that look like?
It's Notebook LM. I actually encourage adults to try to use this for something you're trying to learn yourself, because that'll really help you fully get into all of its potential. But just for me, the mind map, the audio overviews and the study guides, all those I personally find extremely useful. But because the great thing about Notebook LM is it really helps all types of learners and all types of learning styles.
Well stated.
If those of you watching, if you have not yet checked out Notebook LM, absolutely dive in, take a look around. So much potential, but appreciate that overview. It's almost kind of like bringing our own little mini Gemini chatbot with just the information that we want. So with that as our segue, well, let's go to the big Gemini and talk a little bit more about what we can do with that. Or Richard.
Thanks, Michelle. So what Google's been doing really over the last couple of years is getting AI into really every part of every kind of surface. And so the first example of that is in search. And I'll actually show you a demo of that in a moment. But it's Googling something, and then it'll get this AI overview, and I'll show what that means. But basically, it's like the quick answer generated by AI. And it'll typically have a link to the source information. And then you can then go into AI mode and further explore it, right? So you can sort of chat with, have a conversation and to go into more details. And you can even create interactive quizzes. So we'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And so we strongly encourage you, whether you're a parent or a teacher, to try this out with students, to use it as a way to spark curiosity and show how to explore these tools responsibly, and also as a learning opportunity, right? As a learning tool. And then the next slide, just to give a quick overview before I go into demo mode, on slide 149. So that's the Gemini overview. So what we're going to do, this is when you actually go into gemini.google.com. This is the chat app. And this is where you want to have an in-depth conversation that maybe you want to save. Because that's kind of one of the key differences. One of the first differences is that if you're doing this on Google search, it's not really saved. So you can't refer back to it later. So this is when you want to have a conversation, sort of an interactive session that you want to potentially come back to. And so I'll do a quick demonstration. So we move over to my screen over here that I'm sharing. And let's see. Great. Awesome.
There you go. We see you now.
Okay. So
this for those that are following along, so Gemini.google.com brings up an interface similar, or this is just your Google.
I'm gonna show this one, and then I'll go to Gemini.
Perfect. So this is just regular Google search.
Regular Google search. So I'm going to go to explain E equals MC squared. So I'll do that. All right. And then so that's this right here. You should see this on really any search. You'll see an AI overview. And so it explains E equals MC squared. Great. But let me go into AI mode. And that's where I can have now a conversation. And let's say I want to go into create a quiz. Actually, I'll say, create a quiz. I'll just say create a quiz and see what it does. And it should actually create a little button to get started. Yeah, so ready to create a quiz. It actually generated these quiz questions and answers. So create this little Q&A, and I can get started, and then it creates this panel where I can have an interactive quiz. So I think a lot of us have seen, almost everyone's probably seen the AI overview. Some of you would have gone to AI mode to have an interaction. The quiz feature, I think, is brand new to a lot of people. So it's one of these kind of best kept secrets as a learning experience. So strongly encourage you to try that out with your students and children. Then I'll go over to Gemini. Yeah.
No, you got me. I had to just try it, and I'm like, what? Wait. So then you just said, "Give me a quiz," or did it prompt you?
I just said create a quiz. Yeah.
I've never done
in AI mode. I know, it's really cool.
Create a quiz in AI mode. Just for those of you, if that went through quick when you do your first Google search, then you'll see up in the left-hand side AI mode. So this is where you're bringing that Gemini magic right into your Google search. And then Richard says, hidden tip, create a quiz, and boom, ready to create the quiz, get started. Okay, very cool. Brand new info for me. I love it. Okay, keep going.
So just as a quick recap, I just Googled this, the AI overview, that just happens automatically, and that should be at the top of your results. AI mode, you click to the left, right next to all. You can see on the right, you see like videos, images. To the left, you say AI mode. And that's the place where I can have a longer conversation. And I can say create a quiz there. Okay. But as I mentioned, this doesn't really preserve that conversation. So let's say I want to have a conversation that I want to come back to. And that's where I want to really live it inside Gemini. So you go to gemini.google.com. This will require a login. And so, and this could be whether that's a work account, a personal account, school account, depending on whether your school has any restrictions on accessing Gemini. And so let's say, for example, I'm working with a student and they're coming to me with a problem in stats, like they're taking a stats class. Well, let's say I am not 100% confident whether I remember actually some of that curriculum. And so I go in here and I'm going to upload this is just a screenshot. Let's say I could have taken a picture. In this case, I actually used a Kindle reader. I just took a screenshot of a page, and this page looked like this. Okay, so it was basically showing that classic example from stats, which is like how did the heights of fathers and sons correlate? And so I look at that, and let's say I'm like, oh man, I just don't. And I've done this before when I've tried to teach something where I just felt like maybe I needed to do my own refresher on the subject. And so it breaks this down, and it gives me, the summary statistics. But let's say I want to ask a question like this, like explain this to me as if my math studies stopped at algebra 1.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, yesterday we gave a grade level, but I like that you bring in the topic, the content.
Yeah, and so one of the reasons I think this is particularly useful in math is because, like, if you didn't quite get something at some point in your process, and if you could just go back to that point in time where it's like, this is the last thing I think I understood, then that can actually be a great way to kind of unlock that learning. So it explains that. There's another way to kind of do this. You could say, explain this, as you mentioned, Michelle, as if I am in 8th grade. And what did I say? Grade. And then explains it through sort of that lens. And it's just, and then you can see the imagery becomes a little bit easier to understand. And then maybe I'll go into just one aspect of it.
Well, so this is kind of like the Cole's notes. We're coming full circle to Cole's notes here, because I'm imagining I'm a parent. My child's in grade 10 coming home, and even my child in grade 8 is getting into deeper algebra with many variables and so forth. And I'm like, I think I'm stuck here. Maybe I'll take a picture of this or dig in a little bit. So it's not even necessary for my learning. It's so I can brush up and look a little bit more on top of things when I go to support. But at the same time, it's not about me doing all this and then telling my kid. It's about maybe we can do this together as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
unpack it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to frame it. And then the last example I put in here is explain correlation in much similar terms.
Mhm.
And so then I just can kind of drill down to one aspect. And yeah, to your point, like you're now that it's not on you to remember everything that you ever learned and more. It's now like a exploration you can do together with your child. And it's just a fun way. Like, actually, I'll be honest with you, I don't really remember that. Let's go figure that out together. So, so back over to you, Michelle.
And Richard,
Yeah.
on the bottom of your screen there, I noticed when you're in the math,
Thanks.
it says fast underneath, I think, as well.
Yeah.
When you have different levels, there's like the thinking, which gives it a little bit more. And then there's even, I know there's pro, but certain things level that say, okay, you wanted to spend a little bit longer time on. Math is one of those subjects that you want to kind of have it spend a little bit more time on. Have you had success in your round between the two? Does it matter? Is fast usually working? Like, is it getting that good?
Yeah. So great question. So for me, I'll use Pro for things like coding questions or something like really complex, or when I'm like uploading a lot of context. For this particular example, the fast one was good enough. The other thing that I should point out, there's also this concept of guided learning, which basically is like sort of think of it as like a Socratic dialogue. Now it's like flipping things down into like more of a Q&A. There's also deep research, and that's when it goes and looks for searches the web to research a specific topic with citations. That's another one to check out as well.
And that one will take sometimes like 20, 25 minutes based on the prompt, because it actually is spending it. So you can tell that it's really going into its name, which is it's going deep into researching all the possible sources. And then it kind of eliminates some, but you still get a chance to use your own psyche here by looking at all those sources and making your own decision based on the information. But it is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Perfect. No, and I was going to say, similar to with Notebook LM, we could spend an hour. In fact, we have a full day on Gemini coming up with an organization. So just know we're really just giving you some highlights. Take some time to explore. But speaking of exploring, I think next we're going to go over to GEMS. And for that, I'm going to share my screen. But Bill, I'd love for you to just talk us through GEMS. Unless, do you want to talk us through GEMS on your side?
Well, I was going to give you an example if you wanted to kind of give the high level piece, just because Google Gems is a part of where we are looking at within Google Gemini. You're going to notice it on the left-hand side, there's gems. And so what does that mean? Well, I'm going to share this tab instead. And this is what you're going to see. This is what a kind of gem looks like. You can still see I'm in actually gemini.google.com, not just in the main environment where I kind of do the search, which is just equally as good for Gemini. And there's just like many times with Google, there's so many ways to get to the same place to use the same tools. So I'm just showing you the example that I'm using to get there. And within Google Gemini on the left-hand side, you have the ability to click on gems on the left-hand side. I've just opened up my screen a little bit more. You're going to speak to one of these great examples, which is my favorite, but you kind of talked about kind of some like pre-made chats where this chat is already on a topic and you are going in, and the way it's prompting you, similar to the examples that Richard gave within Gemini, you've already started asking about it. You told the Gemini interaction, that conversation, what you wanted to talk about. In this case, you're going to something that can be pre-made or you are developing, but everything within that conversation is all about that topic. So you can see up here, there's a coding partner, a career guide. But what I, before we get into a classic example, which I love that you're going to do, Michelle, what I love most about GEMS is the simplicity to help you understand who you are and not have to do a prompt every single time. So for example, coming out of a grade 6 classroom, I would typically write, I'm a grade 6 teacher here in Ontario, Canada. I have a group of this many students with these type of exceptionalities or interests. I'm planning a lesson on this and all these facts, and it gets very, very long over time. Now, Do I want to have different prompts each time? Yes. But do I want to always say that I'm a grade 6 teacher from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada on those ones? No. So what you can do is create these little gems that are like little mini Gemini conversations, and be able to click on it. And this is what you're seeing, is it kind of looks exactly like Gemini, like Richard just showed us. However, the basis of it, when I go into edit, there is a background that says instructions. I'm a grade 6 teacher in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I can have this on the background that always says I am this. I can add different links to like curriculum that I'm already doing. So as I'm having a conversation, it's always referring to, I know Bill is in grade 6 in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, who's teaching this subject in these areas. So I don't have to keep on saying it. It's making my job and my life so much easier when I do that.
I see this as so beneficial for parents, especially too, right? So parents watching, if you are consistently helping your child with their grade 6 math homework, create a gem. I'm a parent. My child is this age. By the way, we don't put in any personal information for our children. That's something that's just paramount. But set that stage. Here's your math gem. So you just already, it's locked and loaded with that background information about math. Or whatever subject. I like that. Awesome. Anything else on gems from you, Richard, before I dive into one of the favorites?
No, this is great. In the interest of time, I'll let you just jump in. You covered everything really well.
All right. Well, let's jump in. So as Bill mentioned, when you first go to gems in google.com, over on the left-hand side, you just click on gems and it brings you to this page here. If you want a brainstormer, it's already pre-built. A career guide, it's already pre-built. But the one that you are going to all probably dive into and love is the storybook gem. So if we go into, this is what it looks like. It looks just like any other Gemini chat engine, but it's preloaded thanks to some Google software engineers to help me create a storybook. And so my storybook today, I've got this hopefully ready and pasted. Oh, I don't. My prompt, I pre-baked my prompt like any good cooking show. I put in the prompt that said, write a story about the 2026 Canadian men's hockey team at the Milano Cortina Olympics. They won some close matches, but fought their way to first place finish going into the final game against the United States. We're predicting it's going to be US-Canada final. And of course, Canada wins the gold. But this was the prompt that I put in. And then this gem, I'm going to go full screen on here. It creates an interactive storybook with illustrations. We can also listen to this. So there's text to speech. Yeah, and the corner comes up and we can watch this. The illustrations are beautiful. The more detailed you prompt, the more detailed your illustrations are going to be. But I mean, truly, just a wonderful way to just create some interactive stories. I love it.
I've seen it used for like retirement parties too. They put in the information, but just think about if your child comes home from school one day and something's bugging them, and maybe they had, some sort of social interaction where you're trying to give them support, and you wanted to put it into a scenario or a story that you could read through it and talk about it. Or sometimes it's just, that child really is deficient and wants to see their name in a book. You can whip that up nice and quickly too in a scenario. That is always helpful. So very, very, so many entry points with the storybook gem.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Anything else on gems or storybook from you, Richard?
Yeah, the storybook is super fun. I would test this out with I created this for my nieces, turned them into K-pop demon hunters. And they're like, who is that? It's like, that's you. It's like, I'm a K-pop demon hunter. We are now, yeah.
were you in that, Richard? Were you a character in there?
No,
because otherwise you're sharing that right now.
I want to see it
if you're illustrated.
All right. Well, again, thank you all. We've got your entry for the Chromebook coming up. Just know so many resources within the Meet Leo deck, within our deck, just within Gemini, Notebook LM. So much to explore. And here is how you enter to win a Chromebook. You just need to fill out this form. And maybe, Bill, if you wouldn't mind throwing the link into the chat for us, all you need to do is tell us one thing that you learned throughout this broadcast. And as long as it's actually something that we talked about, you're entered to win a Chromebook. And if you've joined us for all 4 sessions, guess what? You fill that out 4 times, telling us something you learned in each of those sessions. You've got 4 entries into that Chromebook draw. Thanks to Richard at Found 42 and our friends. With that, Richard, thanks for the inspiration for being able to explore all of these resources. Thanks for being here with us. Any last words of wisdom before we let everyone go?
Well, thank you, Bill. Thank you, Michelle. So yeah, I go back to what Bill was talking about earlier. This is the main thing is about making it conversational, right? And using this as an opportunity for like engaging with your students, with your children, on to see what excites them, what they find to be fun and interesting online, and opening up that conversation. And then when you're exploring, like from an educational perspective and learning, like doing that together.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the us, the we, for sure. All right, Bill, final words from you.
I'm not sure I can add too much that hasn't already been said in this one. If I do, I think we'll keep on going for another half an hour because it's definitely, I could talk about this forever. So thank you to Richard for the partnership. Thank you, Michelle, for the partnership. This has been a fun 4 sessions. Love every moment of it. Thank you.
Awesome.
And all of you out there, thanks so much for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.